Well, hello there. Slav Polinski Homes with that properties. Happy New Year to you and your family and all your loved ones. Well, we're in fresh into the year 2021. 2020 is behind us, and it's time for a brand new real estate and mortgage update. And today, again, I have with me mortgage lender Mike Gambatese of Proper Rate. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. How are you, Slav?
Fantastic. Thanks again
Good.
for joining me today. I think as we're
Absolutely.
heading into 2021, it's important that we let our clients and viewers know what the state of the real estate market and mortgage industry is, heading forward. And for those that may not know you or haven't seen one of our interviews before, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about you and your business?
Sure. Thanks, Slav. So again, my name is Mike Gambatese with Proper Rate, and I've been in business just under 20 years, and been with Proper Rate now, a guaranteed rate company for just about 16 years. So love what I do, love working with people like yourselves. And the goal really always for me is to be able to provide, the best possible service to my clients that I possibly can. And with the market being the way that it is right now, I think it's even more important for buyers to work with an expert and to work with somebody who, knows what they're doing and can get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And thanks for that introduction. And we have worked on several deals this past year. And what I can say is my clients raved about the service that you provided for them and, kind of guiding them through the whole lending process all the way from the beginning through the end. And so I truly do appreciate that, as do my clients. So thank you.
Well, and I certainly appreciate the referrals. I think, obviously, as you know, every deal is different, right? You might have a seasoned buyer seller that goes out there and knows exactly what they want, and needs very little guidance. And then you also have, on the other end of the spectrum, a first-time home buyer that, needs their hand held the whole way through. And the good thing about working with, people like you and I is that, we can easily adapt and easily work with people like on all levels. So I'm happy to be able to provide, that level of service no matter what type of buyer you have.
Fantastic. So 2020 is behind us, and I think real estate market kind of took all of us by surprise just a little bit, because when COVID-19 hit early last year, nobody knew what was going to happen. And it ended up being a very strong year for buyers and sellers. The real estate market rebounded very well to the first couple months of uncertainty.
Yeah, and I think that kind of surprised us as well. We didn't know what to expect with COVID and everything happening. But what ended up happening was that the federal government kind of gave us some relief, right?
Mhm.
The Fed got involved and basically said, listen, we're going to keep interest rates super low. They even kind of gave us some indication that it would be low through 2021. Only time will tell about that. But that fueled lower interest rates, which provided people with the opportunity to either go out and buy that new home and be able to borrow more money than they thought they would be able to, or borrow the same amount of money for less. And B, it also gave homeowners the opportunity to potentially refinance their mortgage, lower their payments, take some cash out, things like that. So we saw obviously significant increase in loan applications on both sides. But for you and I, the real estate market, I felt like was kind of driven. That was kind of the wind behind the real estate market, was the low interest rates. So, and they have continued to remain low. I think we closed out 2020, at 2.625% on a conforming 30-year fixed. And now we're at 2.75%. So rates have not moved a whole lot. So we're happy about that. And I think that's going to continue to be the catalyst for the extremely, motivated real estate market.
Oh, absolutely. And, another thing that happened last year because of the low interest rates and the shortage of inventory, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a bit, is that, well, it saw a lot of multiple offer situations, probably more multiple offer situations this past year in 2020 than I have ever seen in 1 year prior to that, which was great for sellers because it drove up the price. And it became very interesting. And what was even more interesting as the year went on, even though homes were selling for above list, majority of the ones, at least in my experience, the ones that I've had, did appraise. I didn't see many appraisal issues for those multiple offer situations.
Right, which is always, kind of something that we concern ourselves with a little bit as the real estate market almost doesn't catch up with itself, that we see some lower appraisals. But I agree with you 100%. I would echo that completely, that we did not see a whole lot, if any, low appraisals. So that tells us that the real estate market is where it should be. And demand is keeping up with sales, and sales are keeping up with demand as well. So I think that other than the lack of inventory that you're seeing, that is really the only issue that I potentially see with the real estate market moving forward. Is there are buyers, but are there homes?
Exactly. And before we continue on that, I want to share some slides with the viewers, just a recap of the last month of 2020, December, which I find very interesting. And just give me a second to share those. Do you see the slide in front of you there, Mike?
I do.
Okay,
Downers Grove.
so these are December sales of 2020 and how they compared to the last couple of years before that. And you can see in Downers Grove, December sales were up 37.5%. Typically in December, we normally see a decline in sales compared to the rest of the year. And what I noticed this year is that the buyers continued to stay out there, for several reasons. Number one, the low interest rates, they wanted to, capture that and take advantage of that. Kids being in e-learning, they weren't so concerned about taking their child physically out of a classroom setting and into a new one. And another one that we've talked about before, a lot of times people travel in the past during the holidays. And of course, because of COVID, people did stay home and kept them out there searching for the home that they wanted. And this continued on in same trend in Naperville, up 33.3%. Darien was up 6%, and Westmont was up 15% in sales. Now let's talk about the shortage of inventory. Now the sales were up, however, the amount of homes available for sale has dropped by 37.5% in Downers Grove in December compared to December of previous 2 years. It was down 45% in Naperville, down 41% in Darien, and down 30% in Westmont. So again, this challenge may be for buyers is that there may not be as many homes available right now. The expectation is that sellers do want to also capitalize on the increase in home values and the multiple offers and put their homes on the market. So next couple months will be very interesting in 2021. Right now, generally, it is a buyer's market, seller's market. As you can see that the inventory in Downers Grove is at 1.7 months of inventory, which is down 48%. And just for kind of recap for people listening, a balanced market is 6 months of inventory. That would mean that with the buyers that are out there right now, if no other homes came on the market, that's how long it would take to sell everything off. And as you can see, we have a shortage in Downers Grove, same in Naperville, 1.4 months, Darien 1.3 months, and Westmont 2 months of inventory. Now, as a buyer, this is an exciting time because interest rates are very low. However, one thing that they should know, and I stress to my clients, is to have all their ducks in a row when we go out looking for homes, because of the multiple offer situations. You want to make sure you have things like your pre-approval ready and set to go. Don't you agree there, Mike?
I would 100%. I think now more than ever, it's important for buyers, whether they're 1 month out, 3 months out, 6 months, or 12 months out, to get pre-approved right away, because sellers are now requiring, in most cases, that buyers are pre-approved even to come and look at their homes. If they're going to open up their homes to strangers, a lot of times they want to make sure that they're qualified. So we haven't really seen that in recent years, where sellers have kind of controlled that narrative. But I think that's one of the reasons why it's important to be pre-approved. But also, lending guidelines have changed. In certain aspects, we've gotten a little looser with guidelines, and then in some cases, we've gotten stricter with guidelines. So it's important to know what exactly you're dealing with. That's why you have to get with an expert to talk about your situation, what your needs and what your goals are. Get your credit run, talk about your income. There might have been a recent job change. That was one of the things that we saw a lot of in 2020, was job changes, furloughs. And then as a result of that, what happened with a lot of people was, they went into mortgage forbearance and things like that. So there was a lot of things that 2020 brought that we hadn't seen in recent years. So it's important to kind of talk to people, talk to us about what's going on, what your needs are, what your goals are, and make sure that you're, moving in the right direction, making sure you're putting your best foot forward, and then making the strongest offer possible. Because you might even have a house to sell and you might need the proceeds from that sale. So it's important to kind of talk to a lender about that, because we might be able to pre-approve you, without a home sale contingency. Because as I'm sure you can attest to, those types of offers aren't as successful as offers, without a home sale contingency.
Oh, absolutely. As a seller, especially when they first come on the market, they want as few possible future challenges as they can deal with, and not having a home to sell makes it a lot easier for a seller to accept. And one thing I want to say is I have seen several times this year working with buyers that the sellers have asked for that pre-approval just because of COVID. They want to make sure that people going through their homes are qualified buyers and not just shoppers. The other thing that I think I want to stress is very important is with a pre-approval, get pre-approved with a reputable lender. And I'm going to share one example that I had a couple times with the sellers I represented in multiple offer situations. We have had a couple buyers, very close terms on the contract. And one would have a reputable lender, well-known lender, and one was either an online lender or a lender that nobody's heard before. And the seller always goes with the more reputable lender because they know that it's more likely to reach the closing table on time. So I stress that when you're shopping, talk to your realtor about who they possibly recommend, or if you're using somebody else, get their opinion on it to see if there's going to be any issues possibly as you move forward with an offer on the home that you want.
I would say that, and that's a good point. One of the disadvantages that came out of 2020 with the lower interest rates was that a lot of additional online lenders popped up, that if a buyer potentially is shopping around on the internet for a mortgage, there are more options there. Okay. And what typically ends up happening with the online lenders is that the rates that they're posting online are significantly lower than what another lender is offering. And the reason for that is because there are things that are hidden in there that they're not seeing.
Exactly.
The most common thing are points that are basically built in, that the bank is charging the buyers to get those lower interest rates. Because what I always tell buyers that are shopping around with an online lender is that what seems too good to be true usually is.
Exactly.
And that's why it's always a good idea to talk to somebody who has been in the business a long time, and kind of has the brick and mortar aspect of it too. Even though we're 100% digital, it's good to be speaking with someone who knows the local market, and knows what goes into a transaction in the local market. Because an online lender that's based in Tennessee may not know that certain, municipalities in the Chicago area have transfer stamps and have certain title fees that are related to, the certain municipalities, or city of Chicago transfer stamps or things like that. So there are things that are often missed with lenders like that. So yes, I would absolutely 100% agree with you that now is more important than ever to be working with somebody that you get referred to, that, an agent like yourself knows and trusts.
Great advice there, Michael. And moving into 2021, of course, there's a lot of variables coming up, and just like 2020, don't know what's lying ahead. What I do know, and I like tell both buyers and sellers, right now is a great time. We don't know what's going to happen a couple months down the road, but if you're a buyer, my gosh, those interest rates, you can't beat that. It's almost like, I joke around, it's almost like free money. When I bought my first house, it was 11%. So under 3% is just a gift.
Right.
Sellers.
Well, and I tell people that all the time, but also on the sales side, you can't sell a house if it's not on the market, right?
Exactly.
So that will help people with the shortage of inventory. I get that question all the time, from agents asking whether or not they think that, how should they approach their sellers with, this is the time, versus, the old kind of industry rule of thumb of, wait till after the Super Bowl. Those days are long gone, right? So
Exactly.
People don't care about the weather. People don't care about any of the extraneous things going on. The buyers are ready to go. Get those houses listed for sale. So you get more eyes on it.
Exactly. This is a perfect time for a seller to put their home on the market. I saw maybe a small lull in the activity of buyers, which was right between Christmas and New Year's. As soon as New Year was over, the amount of showings on our homes and the buyers calling me to get ready to go out started right away, which in past years, like you said, would be after Super Bowl. It's a totally different game out there in the real estate industry, with all these different factors affecting it. Talk to your realtor, talk to your lender about, what they're seeing right now. And right now is a great time to put your home on the market and capitalize
Absolutely.
on the amount of buyers that are out there.
Well, and also as a seller, let's be honest, a seller has to go out and buy something too.
Sure.
So a seller needs to capitalize on those low rates as well. So it's, there's two sides to the coin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very good. What are you seeing with interest rates moving forward in 2021? I know a lot of things can affect it, but projections, what are you seeing or hearing?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. I would have to say that just because the Fed, as I mentioned earlier, has kind of assured us that they're going to keep rates nice and low through 2021, I think with a new administration as of today, I think that'll be a goal of theirs as well, is to keep the housing market strong and keep interest rates low. So I do anticipate that rates will stay low, right around or right below 3% on a 30-year fixed on a conforming loan. And just so all the listeners out there know, the conforming loan limit just got raised as of January 1st to $548,250, which is awesome. Right. This was a huge increase from where we were at before, $510,400. It's a huge increase. So that basically means that it's gonna bring a whole new buyer into the market, at that price point, in that mid to upper fives. Mm-hmm. You can now put 5% down and still be in a conforming loan situation. So I do anticipate rates staying nice and low, and we did have a little bit of an increase, like I mentioned earlier, of about 1/8 to 1/4 of a point over the last 3 weeks. But we're still pretty much within an eighth of a point of all-time lows.
Sure.
So yeah, I would encourage people to try to get out there and take advantage of them one way or another.
Yep. Fantastic. Yeah. Those low interest rates will keep the buyers out there. And, from what we're hearing, we should see an increase in inventory this year in the coming months. So, uh, buckle your belt and, just get ready for it. Should be an interesting year moving forward. And of course, we're going to keep everybody up to date because things can change from month to month. And it's good to stay on top of what is going on.
Right.
Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say?
Everybody we talk to is really excited about the real estate market for 2021 and feel like it's going to be a super strong year. So we're very excited about it and we're ready for it.
Right. And I'm hearing in the city of Chicago, they're expecting to have a better year this year than last year as well. So I think it'll be a good year for everyone involved in, buying and selling real estate.
Right. Agreed.
All right, Mike. Again, great chat with you today. I really appreciate your insight and expertise, and I look forward to more conversations with you moving forward this year in 2021.
Same here. Thank you, Slav.
You're welcome. So this is Slav Polinski, Homes. Have a great day.